Hey, welcome back to Average Home Theater. Nelson here, and today I have a very special guest, someone who hasn't been on the show in a while, but he was our first guest ever on the show, Donovan. How's it going, Donovan?
It's going great. Happy to be here.
Man, I'm happy you're back. I'm happy you're back. And Donovan here is a Star Wars guy, and so am I, obviously, but I think Donovan has me beat. He loves reading up on what are the future projects of Star Wars, and he gets real deep into the lore. He knows way more than I do, of course. I'm a cynic. I'm a hashtag original trilogy guy.
Nothing wrong with that.
But so we're gonna discuss Andor, and I think the subject matter is, was Andor good? And because it seems like a controversial kind of topic with anything Disney, I guess, right?
Right.
You have people who absolutely love everything Disney puts out, no matter what it is. They just love it because it's Star Wars. And then you have people kind of like me who are very, cynical and very picky about their Star Wars and don't really like the direction that Disney has taken things. And then I say that, but I think I'm actually more in the middle because I don't think that everything is trash. I just think that most of it is not very good.
Right. And most of it is not very good.
Right.
It's not been very good.
Yeah, it hasn't been very good, but Andor, I think, is actually really good. I think because I love Rogue One.
Right.
You love Rogue One.
Oh, great.
Right. So I guess I just don't understand why the people on the opposite side of loving it, the people on this side, why they hate it so much. And I don't know why. Because they say people who like it are Disney shills and things like that. And I kind of just don't know why. And I just want to know what you think.
I think they're consumed with hate.
Yeah. It's just because it's Disney, and no matter what it is, it has to be bad.
Yeah. And I know where they're coming from. I understand that. But at some point you have to look at things, with a neutral perspective. And I understand it's hard to, given what's all taken place over the years. And it's basically made a lot of fans bitter.
Right.
Especially original trilogy fans. Mm-hmm. We feel like we've been basically, put out to pasture on some things. And I get it. But at the same time, I mean, you have to look at it and be objective and not let your emotions get in the way and prejudge something.
Well, that's with any kind of film or TV. I mean, same thing with like actors. If you don't like certain actors and what they do and say on a personal level, if you look at it that way, man, the things you're allowed to enjoy are very, very slim, very narrow. And I guess that's got to be what it is. It just because of certain things that Disney did or decisions they made. Well, now everything is just trash, no matter what it is.
And okay, maybe a lot of that is true, but not all of it is trash. And it's interesting with Disney. It seems to be with Disney Star Wars, it's either really good or very meh to bad.
Right.
Has been very few things that have really kind of skirted the line. Maybe Ahsoka skirted the line to being meh.
I think that's fair.
I think that it's the first one to kind of ride that line with it. But if you're talking good Star Wars, we got Mando season 1, season 2. And we talk about season 3 was very poor. But season 1, season 2 was out the park. So it was hot, hot on the mound, like a pitcher. It was hot. Andor was not Andor, but Rogue One as a movie was phenomenal.
And a lot of people, man, there's a lot of people that do not like Rogue One.
That's correct. And I'm surprised some people who are original trilogy fans hated Rogue One.
Yep.
And I guess,
well, they say things like the characters are uninteresting. They all die. So what's the point? And I'm like, did you watch the movie? Like, the point is what they did helped defeat, I'm going to say, quote, defeat the Empire and blow up the Death Star. Like, I don't understand how that's not important. You got to see how they got the plans to the Death Star. And in doing that, they say the characters are uninteresting. I find the characters very interesting.
Oh yeah.
They say Andor is not in. I thought he was my favorite character in Rogue One.
Oh yeah, he's
way more interesting than Jin. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. Yeah, he's multidimensional. And like, where's he coming from with all this? What's his past? What's his history?
Mm-hmm.
Why is he so hell bent against the Empire? What's driving him? He's because throughout the whole Rogue One movie, he's almost like kind of like he ends Andor, and they do that on purpose to line it up. But he's a man on a mission.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a lot of fire in him and a point to prove or make. And even though he goes through all these things, he keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. But Rogue One was, maybe because there weren't any Jedi and laser swords.
I mean, that's part of it. That's part of it. I remember people thinking that it was episode 8.
Oh,
I remember people saying that had nothing. Like, what was this movie? And I was like, well, it's not episode 8. I don't know what you thought you were going to watch, but they really thought, because it came out between 7 and 8. So people really thought they were getting a continuation of Force Awakens, and as they're watching it, they're like, oh, this is before. So I don't know, maybe that had something to do with it too.
The history on that is interesting too. I can't remember the employee's name, but he was working under George Lucas when Lucasfilm was on, before he did the transaction.
Right.
And he actually presented this to Lucas, and they were looking at doing the movie. And then the acquisition happened and, all that stuff. And he actually went back again to Kennedy and represented the same presentation to Kennedy that he did to Lucas. It's the same employee. He was a carryover, and he's still there in Lucasfilm. I forget his name, but he came up with the idea of who was the team that got the plans.
Right. Like, how did they get the plans?
Right. Yeah.
All happened? You know is the plans were stolen, and Leia put the plans in R2-D2. That's all you really know. They don't say anything in the movie.
Right. And so he's the employee that had the idea for the story in general, just the general framework for the story. And then, and she made a good decision. I mean, we give Kathleen Kennedy hell, and rightfully so.
Right. Deserved on a lot of things.
Yeah. But in the end, she gave us some pluses. Broken record. Mando season 1, season 2, Rogue One. The Force Awakens was a very good movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, I can't watch it now because it's ruined by the sequels.
Yes.
But as a standalone film, and where we thought the direction was headed, it was great.
Right.
And was it a rehash of A New Hope? And was it safe? Sure, it was, but it was still enjoyable. At least it felt like Star Wars.
It did. Yeah. It really did. You left the theater feeling like, like rejuvenated with the franchise. Here we go. We're excited and everything. It accomplished what it set out to do.
So Andor season 1 starts with him. You really see how he got into it. Because remember, he makes the comment in Rogue One, I've been in this fight since I was 7 years old or something, however old he said he was. And so you get to see all that stuff. You get to see the woman who raised him. You get to see Bix, who he falls in love with. Like, they were friends, childhood friends. And so I enjoy seeing his backstory. And you see to me, the best part of Andor series as a whole is just the inner workings of the Empire. You see things that you don't see anywhere else in Star Wars. Seeing the ISB work, then you see the prison that he's in season 1. And it really displays how evil the Empire is. Because, they say how evil the Empire is, but all you ever really see is kind of like the shell of it. You see Palpatine, you see Darth Vader, and, you see stormtroopers here and there, but you don't see the real evil, which is the normal people who are oppressing everyone in the galaxy type thing. And you get to see it in Andor.
Tony Gilroy did a magnificent job and this was Lucas. This is how George Lucas viewed the Empire. It's the Nazis.
Correct.
I mean, when you see this set up with the Empire, you get to see the Nazi regime and the ISB being the Gestapo. And it is, I mean, I really feel, I'm like, wow, those are really the Nazis. This is Nazi Germany as if they would be ruling the galaxy. And I mean, I was watching it, like I mentioned earlier, rewatching season 2 a little bit. And I just sat there. I'm like, wow, he just, even from the uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's dialed in so good. I feel like it's the Gestapo. And that's what Lucas wanted you to feel. And he does a real good job with it. So evil. Yes.
And the performances. You have Dedra. She was great as an up and coming. You know, she looked like she was supposed to be up there, you know, like she was really supposed to be someone within the ISB. Her boss, the older guy, I don't know his name, but he was fantastic as that kind of, he reminds you of, what's his name from A New Hope? Peter Cushing.
Oh, Tarkin.
Yeah, he kind of reminds you of Tarkin a little bit. Even though he's not at that level, just his presentation kind of reminds me of Tarkin. And then, of course, in season 2, you get to see Krennic interacting with the ISB, so they can basically they want an uprising. They kind of instigate the uprising for their advantage, so they can take over the resources at Gorman. Is that what it's called? Gorman. So I don't know. I just don't get why. Now, okay, I guess I can get a little bit. The biggest fault to this series was the pacing sometimes. Sometimes it was a little too slow. And, you know, in our society, attention spans are very short. And if you're not moving like this, a lot of people are not going to like it, especially Star Wars fans, because, you know, they're used to lightsabers and force and blah, blah, blah. Even though watching the original trilogy, you don't get a whole lot of that. So I blame the prequel trilogy for that crap. But I think that's the biggest issue. And it's 2 seasons of 12, right?
Yes.
It probably could have been 2 seasons of 9, to be honest with you.
Yes.
There could have been a lot of editing and things that you just didn't necessarily need to see or hear. So I think they stretched out a little bit, and that is what lost a lot of people and say, oh, it's so boring. And, you know, it kind of was. I mean, especially season 2, man. By season 5, I was like, they need to pick it up. I mean, episode 5. Remember, I even texted you.
Right.
I was like, they need to pick it up. And they actually did, right at episode 6. It picked up.
It tended to want to drag. I felt it was, I mean, look, again, I consider this an excellent series. So when I'm breaking it down, you know, or deconstructing it in a negative fashion, I still hold it up here.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I give it a grade, it's probably a 7.5 to an 8, somewhere in that.
That's the score.
It would have been a 9, honestly,
right,
had it been edited down to like 2 9-episode seasons. It probably would have been like, holy crap, this is really good, and hit that 9.
I totally agree. Yeah, I think the pacing hurt this, especially this second season. It felt a little more soap opera-y. Yeah. We had the wedding. We had some politics going on. We had relationships going on with Dedra, Mira, which was entertaining, actually.
Their awkward relationship. Yeah.
And watching their interviews on the side of how do we approach this with those as actors. To have chemistry with it. It was interesting to say how they were going to look at it and approach it, the behind the scenes.
Yeah, the scene with his mom, the overbearing mother, and her basically telling the overbearing mother, you're going to stop treating him like that. That was pretty funny. But could that have been cut out? Yes. You didn't really need that. The whole wedding thing it dragged. But you know what, man? In the first 3 episodes, the what's his name? Andor being stuck with those idiots. I was like, why is this? We're like, what's the deal? Just get him out of there already. I don't need to see 3 episodes of him with these morons who are fighting each other. Like, I couldn't understand that. And they talk about these monsters, and you see just one, and you never see any more monsters.
Right. They find a foot somewhere. I'm expecting to see some big monster.
Yeah, I want to see something awesome, and it ended up being like a big rhinoceros thing or something. I don't know.
And at night too, and then you just get a flash.
Get a flash of it. That could have been one episode.
It could have been. And it was like between the wedding and that, I felt those first 5 episodes just drug. And I forget which one covered which one more, you know, in the episodes. But in general, those 2 things could have been really condensed.
No doubt.
And I get it. It's like when he goes to leave the planet that he's on, it's actually Yavin. That's Yavin. So when he flies off, you see the pyramid in the background. And, oh, he was on Yavin. Now, this takes place several years before the rebellion's over there. Because this series, every 3 episodes is like so many years before the battle.
Yeah, it always says a year later. Yeah. So it's like 3 or 4 years, just season 2.
Right. And so he leaves, and I was like, oh, that jungle planet the whole time was Yavin. You know, and that's why he was meeting the pilot there. And then those other guys worked kind of for Saul Guerrero or the rebellion. They did jobs, that crew that ended up holding him hostage. And so that place is a gathering point, essentially initially, which later on, of course, we know is Yavin. And I thought that was cool, but it wasn't worth 3 episodes of bogged down dialogue and just him chilling in the jungle with that crew of ragtags, you know, and then holding him hostage and not moving the story forward.
Yeah. I think they just they had a goal, or they had an agreement of 2 12 episode seasons, and they just stretched it out as much as they could. I mean, you know, all movies and TV shows film way more than they actually use. And they just were like, well, we'll keep that in there because we need these 50-minute episodes or whatever. Yeah. So you mentioned Saul. He was so good. What's his name? Forrest Whitaker, who, you know, he's kind of hit or miss with me. Sometimes his acting is great, and sometimes he's like laughable bad. But man, he's really made for Saul. Like he pulls that off. I don't know who else would have really played that character that way, and it would have been that enjoyable to watch him.
He plays the clinically insane really well. Yes, Saul Guerrero. You know, well, yeah. And that episode where he takes the I have his name down here in the notes. It's not Melshi, it's the other character that was in season 1 and he's in season 2. He's always got a girlfriend in the 2 seasons of Andor. I forget his name. But he takes that one, the one that can substance they need.
Oh, yeah.
And it's highly explosive. They had it in Mando season 1 or 2 where it's highly explosive.
Yeah. When he was trying to teach the other guy.
Yes.
And then he ended up being a spy.
Yes. So that scene where they're actually on the planet and he's cracking the lock.
Yeah, that was neat. That was neat.
And he just breathes it in, and he brings him to the radical side of things to free himself. You know. So
that's what Saul is always breathing.
I think so, man. I think he's taking hits of it or something.
So it's not, he doesn't need that to live. It's,
well, I don't know. I don't know. It could, maybe it's oxygen because his lungs are burned from it. He did mention he burned his lungs from inhaling.
Yeah, because he didn't have it at first, but then at the end of season 2, he has the mask thing on his uniform. I saw it when they showed him at the end.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if that's that gas substance or it's just air he's breathing in. But I do know he, like I said, he burned his lungs really bad with it. So either or, but that other guy exposed himself to it. But it was an interesting scene of how he just brought him to a radical kind of place with it, you know. And then later on, he joins the rebellion.
Yeah, and since we're talking about Saul and the end of season 2, I really enjoyed that last little montage where they show kind of where everybody is at the end, and you see Cassian getting in his ship, and he's going to meet the contact, which is basically the beginning of Rogue One.
Right.
Okay. So that was cool, but I loved seeing Dedra in prison. I loved the ISB boss killing himself, which, man, that's pretty dark for Star Wars.
Very dark for Star Wars.
And what else did they show? Oh, that you see Saul again. That's why I said he had the mask thing. So I kind of liked seeing. Oh, and you see the Death Star. They're working on the weapon at this point. The circle thing.
Yeah,
the cannon.
The cannon with the
barrel
crystals. The barrel.
Yeah, and I guess that's what they need all the resources from
the
Gorman
actual
4.
weapon part of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So yeah, it was neat seeing all that stuff. I really enjoyed that. And you know, people talk about the attempted sexual assault scene, and some people like really hated it, and then other people like, you know, it's not that big a deal. I mean, Princess Leia was a kind of a sex slave in Return of the Jedi.
Right.
I didn't think it was too much because of, you know, the tone of the show. And I mean, he was going to do that.
Right.
But then it turned into a fight immediately. So I don't think it went too far.
Right.
As far as what was happening. I don't know.
I don't think it was too explicit sexually. Yeah. I think it became, like you said, they were going that direction, but then it stopped short with that and went more into the fight.
Yeah.
And this is adult Star Wars.
Yeah. It's TV 14. So I mean, it's not meant for little kids. But I mean, look, let's be honest here. In a war, since I mean, it is called Star Wars, okay? In a war, it's ugly. Things are nasty. And you got that grittiness in the original trilogy and then again in Rogue One, but you don't have it in any other Star Wars. It's pretty toned down for all audiences, I guess you can say. And this one is not. Tony Gilroy knew what he wanted to convey. He wanted to show the ugly side of the Empire and the ugly side of conflict. And this is like, I mean, you're seeing, it's more than just Cassian. You are seeing the beginning of the actual rebellion. Mm-hmm. Like, it's really a Cold War,
right, for
the first season and half of the second season, until it's like, one of the name of the episodes is Welcome to the Rebellion, right? When they get Mon Mothma out of there. So now it's the real deal, Holyfield, you know, and I don't know. I enjoy watching that. And I just don't understand why people don't.
Yeah. I think it's either they're hung up on the lightsaber and force thing. And that's what Star Wars is to them. And without the force, the Jedi and lightsabers, like, it's not really Star Wars. Yeah. I think there's that crew. I think there's the bitter crew that are just like, I don't care what you give me, how good it is. It's going to burn to ash because it's Disney.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is, but I have small issues with it, but in general, I'm like you, I give this somewhere around an 8 or somewhere, you know, and the Rotten Tomato scores are dead on consistent between season 1 and season 2. It was interesting. I looked at them again this morning to kind of recap, and you have an overall score of 96 for critics, 88 for fans, which is pretty solid, especially in the Star Wars world. Season 1 was a 96 and an 88. Season 2, 97 and 88. I enjoyed season 1, I think, overall a little more.
Yeah, probably.
Because the pacing of season 2 bogs a little. But wow, when episodes, what are we looking at? 6, 7, and 8?
Well, 6 kind of stepped it up. It was the end of that arc of episodes 4, 5, and 6. Because, you know, 3 episode arcs. Okay. But man, once hits episode 7 hits 7, 8, 9, and then 10, 11, and 12 were just like rocking and rolling. But think about what else we got to see. I forgot about this. We got to see a forensics team.
Oh, yeah, we did.
You know, like they were analyzing a crime scene. You've never seen that before.
Nope.
And you'd have to know, I mean, obviously that has to exist in this world. So you got to see that. You got to see the K2 units. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They deploy a bunch of them and they just start throwing people all over the place, which was great.
Yeah.
And then K2SO himself was, we didn't mention him. He's only in the last 3 episodes, but he was phenomenal again. A little comic relief, because there's really not much comic relief in the series at all. You get a little bit of K2, so you get to laugh and feel like, oh man, you know, that's so good. So I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Very, very good show.
He does a good job of putting the aliens in the background and focusing on the humans, and still keeps it's a space movie.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. He even brought the Force in on this one.
Yeah, like, so I guess they allude that Andor is a little force sensitive. Is that what they were getting at?
He's touched about, he's not a virgin, so what they call in the Force, but he has a destiny linked to the Force. And apparently, because the healer who has, and she's not a Jedi either, she doesn't pretend to be one,
Right.
She has the Force ability to heal. She has enough, here we go, George Lucas, midichlorians, enough of the Force in her that she can actually heal people or prompt their immune system to start healing faster. And so he's a disbeliever in all that jazz. And so she sees something in him. And so she conveys that to Bix. And then later he gets back to the camp. He's like,
feels pretty good.
Man, it wasn't just biofreeze they put on.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like Mr. Miyagi, you know.
Right. And so it was interesting. He brought in the Force healing thing, which, we have all opinions about that because of the sequel trilogy and how Rey was the healer and all this stuff. They brought it in. And then Baby Yoda, Grogu can do the Force healing thing. So I was like, oh, here we go. Where we're going with that. And he just did it really well.
I kind of like actually that better than everybody who is force sensitive can heal now. I kind of like that, but it's, I mean, you know what it reminded me of? I mean, we're Cajun. We're in South Louisiana. It reminded me of like traiteurs.
Oh man, I knew you were going to say.
I was going to say that. I mean, because that's the whole time I'm thinking. I'm like, oh look, it's like a traiteur.
Yeah, and that's what she was there, and she was like a trained Force healer, and so she has a special skill and enough in the Force with it made sense.
Yeah,
I wasn't like, oh, this is out of place. I was like, okay, finally, we got a little bit of the Force in here, so we have that, and now we're away from that.
Yeah,
now we're moving.
I was really afraid they were going to make Luthen like a former Jedi, but instead, he was former Empire.
Right.
So that was interesting to see, and how his assistant, forgot about her.
Yeah.
Excellent character. She hardly did anything in season 1. She was just kind of there, and then in season 2. She's like one of the best characters. She turns into one of the best characters. I mean, badass. The actress herself just nailed it. Smoking hot. All the things, everything you need for a good character.
Attractive, mysterious, lots of edge with her. Her first acting role.
I just heard that last night.
Couldn't believe it.
Yep, I just heard him last night. The guy I told you I was speaking with, he told me that. He was like, did you know that was her first gig? So that's crazy.
Yeah, I think the casting was spot on. It was written really well. We got the bogged down issue, but I agree with you. I think it's because they had a certain amount of episodes and they just need to feel and stretch.
Yeah.
It's some of the best Star Wars that we've gotten. It really is. And it goes right up to, Rogue One, which is now you have a beautiful timepiece right here.
Yep.
It's good stuff. It really is. And it shines really well as being part of the franchise and canon, as they say.
Yeah, well, this is so Nick and I have been doing The Last of Us, and we're going like episode by episode. Well, I'm just gonna make the announcement now. We're gonna hold off on that because nobody's watching them.
I stopped
because, well, I mean, watching our episodes too.
I stopped watching The Last of Us.
Exactly. They're not watching The Last of Us. They're not watching the series, and they're not. So I guess that's why. Because if you look at ours, I mean, I don't get a ton of views, but the views I did have, every single episode has gone down. And I told Nick, like, it's not even worth our time anymore. So we're just going to do like a wrap up at the end because there's 4 episodes left. We'll just get through the 4 and then we'll talk about it at the end. But they made a lot of bad decisions in casting. And that's really what hurt them the most is the casting. And some of the writing is pretty bad. Like we were saying, Ellie's not likable and things like that. So, but this show, people kind of are equating this with Last of Us, and that is incorrect.
Oh, no.
100%. It's not even about opinion. You're just wrong. If you think this is on the same level as The Last of Us. I mean, this is far better than The Last of Us. It didn't start out that way. I was a little worried.
Right.
But once you get halfway through the series or through this season, it becomes like one of the better shows on TV.
I think it broke a record. It has the most 9.5 and above ratings for episodes in a row than any series. So
oh, really?
Yeah, I need to read up a little more of that. I saw it this morning, and it set a IMBD record.
Nice.
And I guess that's a 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, once you hit 12, the 7,
yeah, it's like rolling. It's like it takes a while. And he's cooking in the kitchen, and it's taking a long time when he's cooking in the kitchen. And you got a little seasoning here, a little spice here, and
the little guy with the salt.
Yeah, and Salt Bay's doing his thing. And then, man, I mean, they set something on fire at the end of 6 going towards 7, and it's just the kitchen's.
You get to see stormtroopers doing stormtrooper stuff. Yes. They actually hit some people. I don't want to hear anything about it.
Right.
They killed some people. A lot of stormtroopers did die, though. You get to see different troopers, like the guys that are wearing armor but still wearing hats.
That's
new. You get to see like a SWAT team. I don't know. If you haven't watched it, you've been listening to all this, I don't know why you haven't watched it. It's definitely worth watching if you're a Star Wars fan. Don't listen to what people are saying about its crap, because it's really not.
And if you're getting tired in the first 5, 6 episodes, just hang in there. Yep. Just think of where you're at now and where it's going to be.
Just think of espionage and Cold War, and that's what it is until it all hits the fan. So, all right. Well, I think I've said everything. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered it all.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, with that, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we will see you on the next one.